Ever feel like you're stuck in a time warp?
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for a website to load?
Yeah.
Watching that little spinning wheel? Like it's 1999.
Yep.
Right? It's like the internet forgot how to be fast.
It's true.
Well, get this. Today's deep dive
Mm-hmm.
is all about a project that wants to reinvent the web,
Okay.
making it as dynamic and responsive as a conversation.
Interesting.
We're talking about Scala Stack.
Scala Stack
Yeah.
and dynamic might even be an understatement.
Oh,
Imagine websites that adapt to your needs in real time,
okay.
loading only what's absolutely necessary.
Wow.
It's a pretty ambitious goal. So let's unpack what's really going on here
Yeah,
and see if Scala Stack lives up to the hype.
I am so ready.
Okay.
So paint me a picture.
Okay.
What does this living web actually look like to someone like me, just browsing the internet?
Okay, so picture this. Instead of a website being a bunch of static pages,
Right.
it's more like a constant flow of information,
Oh,
constantly evolving based on your actions.
interesting.
Scala Stack makes this happen with the two key elements,
Okay.
the engine and the weather.
The engine and the weather. Interesting.
The engine lives right in your browser,
Mhm.
constantly communicating with the website.
So it's like having a little messenger running back and forth behind the scenes.
Exactly. Now, the weather is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
It analyzes everything you're doing on the site.
Everything.
Your clicks, your scrolls, even how long you hover over an image,
Wow.
and uses that information to decide what the website should serve up next.
Hold on. It's like the website can read my mind. That sounds both amazing and a little creepy.
I know, right? It's next level personalization.
Okay.
And because it's only grabbing what you need
Mm-hmm.
when you need it,
Right.
websites could potentially load way faster, even on a spotty connection.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind,
Good.
especially if it means no more staring at a blank screen waiting for things to load.
Exactly.
But how does this all actually work on a technical level?
Well, here's where Scala Stack takes a radically different approach from traditional frameworks.
Okay.
Instead of relying on pre-built static files,
Yeah.
everything is dynamically generated on the server.
Really?
Using, you guessed it, the Scala programming language.
Wait, so one language for the entire website?
Yeah.
Isn't that unusual?
Very. And that's actually one of the biggest potential advantages of Scala Stack. Using a single language for both the front end, what you see, and the back end,
Right.
the behind-the-scenes stuff,
Okay.
can be a game changer for development teams.
So no more back-end, front-end divide.
All right.
Everyone speaking the same language. Literally.
Exactly. This unification means logic and tests can be reused across different layers,
Mm-hmm.
reducing redundancy and increasing productivity.
Okay.
And it simplifies things for developers,
Right.
which can lead to a faster development process and ultimately a quicker delivery of the final product.
All right. So streamlined development, potentially faster websites.
Yep.
This is sounding pretty good so far, but I'm sure there are some downsides too.
Right. You're absolutely right. No technology is perfect.
Sure.
And Scala Stack is no exception. One of the biggest concerns is the potential impact on speed.
Wait, but I thought we just talked about how Scala Stack could make websites faster.
It can, but there's a catch.
Okay.
While delivering only the necessary content is more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
dynamically generating everything on the fly
Yeah.
could put a strain on servers and potentially slow things down.
So it's a balancing act,
Right.
delivering content quickly,
Yes.
but also making sure the whole system can keep up.
Exact.
Have the creators addressed this potential bottleneck?
Absolutely. They're well aware of the potential speed bumps and are relying heavily on a technique called smart caching
Okay.
to keep things running smoothly.
Okay, so walk me through this smart caching.
Sure.
How does it help?
Essentially, it's like storing frequently used items within easy reach instead of generating every single element every time.
Right.
Scala Stack can store frequently accessed elements in a cache,
Got it.
so they can be served up instantly on subsequent requests.
So it's all about anticipating what the user might need next and having it ready to go.
Yeah.
Smart.
Exactly.
But what about the security implications of all this shared code with everything running on Scala?
Yeah.
Is there a risk of sensitive information leaking from the back end to the front end?
That's a crucial question.
Right.
And the creators of Scala Stack have emphasized the need for robust security protocols
Okay.
and careful code compartmentalization.
I see.
Developers need to be extra vigilant in separating and securing different parts of the code base
Right.
to prevent any unintended leaks.
So it's a powerful tool.
Yes.
But like any tool,
It's-
it needs to be handled with care.
Right.
It sounds like while Scala Stack simplifies a lot of things, it doesn't completely absolve developers of the responsibility of writing clean, secure code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Security should always be a top priority,
Of course.
especially in today's digital landscape.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the potential benefits of Scala Stack.
Yes.
Faster websites, streamlined development.
Yeah.
We've also touched on some of the challenges,
Uh-huh.
like potential speed bumps and the need for robust security measures.
Right.
But what does this all mean for the average user?
Right.
What's the big takeaway here?
The big takeaway is the Scala Stack has the potential to revolutionize the way we experience the web.
Wow.
Imagine a world where websites are no longer static pages, but dynamic, responsive environments that adapt to your individual needs.
That sounds pretty incredible. But is it just hype?
Well,
Or is this really the future of web development?
that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
So is it all hype or the future of web development? What's your take?
It's definitely ambitious, and like any emerging technology, there are hurdles to overcome, but the potential is huge.
Okay. So what are the biggest hurdles? What's standing in the way of Scala Stack taking over the world?
Well, for starters, there's the question of adoption. Right now, it's still a relatively niche technology. Most developers are comfortable with traditional frameworks, and it takes time for a new approach to gain traction.
That makes sense. Change can be scary,
Yeah.
especially in the tech world, where things move so fast.
Exactly. And there's also the challenge of proving itself in the real world. We need to see how Scala Stack performs. On high-traffic websites, complex applications, can it handle the pressure?
So it's one thing to build a cool website with Scala Stack, but it's another thing entirely to have it run smoothly when millions of people are trying to use it at the same time.
Precisely. Scalability is a major factor. And then, of course, there's the learning curve for developers.
Right, because we talk about how Scala Stack uses Scala for everything, but how hard is it to actually learn Scala?
Well, Scala is known for its power and flexibility, but it's definitely more complex than some other popular languages. Think of it like this. Learning HTML might be like learning to ride a bike. Learning Scala is more like learning to fly a helicopter.
Okay, that's a pretty vivid analogy.
But the point is, there's a definite learning curve, and that can be a barrier for some developers, especially if they're used to working with more straightforward languages.
So it's a trade-off. Scala Stack offers a lot of potential benefits, but those benefits come at the cost of increased complexity.
Exactly, and that's why it's important to weigh those trade-offs carefully. For some projects and teams, the benefits of Scala Stack will outweigh the challenges. For others, it might not be the right fit.
So how do developers even know if Scala Stack is right for them? What kind of projects are best suited for this new approach?
That's a great question. I'd say projects that require a high degree of dynamism, real-time updates, and personalization are prime candidates for Scala Stack. Think about applications where the content needs to change frequently based on user interactions or external data.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So not just your average static website, but something that needs to be more dynamic, more responsive.
Exactly. Imagine things like real-time stock tickers, collaborative editing tools, even interactive games. These are all areas where Scala Stack could really shine.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
It's all about pushing the boundaries of what's possible on the web, creating those wow experiences that leave users wanting more.
You got it. And the beauty of it is we're really just scratching the surface. As more developers start experimenting with Scala Stack, who knows what incredible innovations will emerge.
Speaking of innovation, we briefly touched on the Scala Stack JS compiler earlier. Can we dive into that a bit more? What role does it play in all of this?
Absolutely. The Scala Stack JS compiler is like the magic bridge between Scala and your web browser.
Okay, break that down for me. I thought we said Scala Stack uses Scala for everything.
It does, but your web browser doesn't speak Scala directly. It speaks JavaScript. That's where the JS compiler comes in. It takes the Scala code, which is super efficient for the server-side stuff, and translates it into JavaScript that your browser can understand.
So it's like having a real-time translator working behind the scenes,
Yeah.
making sure everyone can understand each other.
Exactly. And this translation happens on the fly every time you make a request. But remember that smart caching we talked about? It plays a vital role here, too. The compiled JavaScript for frequently accessed elements can be stored and served directly, preventing unnecessary recompilation and keeping things snappy.
So it's all about optimizing for speed at every step of the way. The user gets a fast, dynamic experience, and the developers get to work with a single, powerful language.
You got it. But let's not forget that every technology comes with its own set of challenges.
Right. Like we talked about earlier with potential speed bumps and security concerns. Are there any other potential downsides to using Scala Stack?
One thing to consider is that this shared code approach, while beneficial in many ways, can also introduce new complexities. For example, if a piece of code is used in both the front end and back end, any changes to that code need to be carefully considered to ensure they don't break functionality on either side.
That makes sense. It's like juggling chainsaws. You need to be really careful to avoid any accidents.
That's one way to put it. But seriously, it highlights the importance of careful planning testing and communication within development teams using Scala Stack.
So communication is key. And what about the compatibility of external libraries? Can developers use their favorite tools and libraries with Scala Stack?
That's a crucial point. Because Scala Stack uses Scala.js for the front end, any external libraries used in the shared code must also be compatible with Scala.js. This might limit the availability of some tools, especially those heavily tied to JavaScript.
That's a good point. It's something developers need to be aware of when evaluating Scala Stack for their projects.
Absolutely. They need to thoroughly assess the Scala.js ecosystem and ensure that the tools and libraries they rely on are available and compatible.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider when it comes to Scala Stack. It's not a magic bullet, but it's definitely a powerful tool with a lot of potential.
Exactly. It's about choosing the right tool for the job and being aware of the trade-offs involved.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What do they really need to remember about Scala Stack?
If I had to sum it up, I'd say this Scala Stack represents a bold vision for the future of the web, a future where websites are more dynamic, responsive, and personalized than ever before. It's a powerful tool with the potential to revolutionize web development.
It's exciting to think about how this technology could change the way we experience the web.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you know, what's even more exciting is that the potential of Scala Stack might extend far beyond just websites.
Wait, really? You're blowing my mind here. What else can it do?
Well, think about the core principles we've been discussing: dynamic content generation, real-time adaptability, seamless communication between the front end and back end. These principles can be applied to a wide range of applications, not just websites.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me some examples. What kind of applications are we talking about?
Imagine real-time data visualization dashboards. That update with every click, giving you instant insights without having to refresh the page.
No, that's something I could get behind. I'm tired of refreshing dashboards and waiting for them to reload.
Right. Or how about personalized educational platforms that adjust the content and pacing based on each student's learning style?
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, the platform adapts to each individual learner, providing a more engaging and effective learning experience. That's pretty amazing.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We could see Scala Stack powering interactive gaming experiences, where the game world responds dynamically to player choices, creating a truly immersive and unpredictable experience.
Whoa, that's next-level gaming right there.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think that the same technology that can power a website could also be used to create these completely different types of applications.
It's a testament to the power of thinking outside the box. Sometimes a solution for one problem can unlock a wave of innovation in completely unexpected areas.
It's like discovering a secret passageway that leads to a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly. And with Scala Stack, I think we're just beginning to explore those secret passageways.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from the technical underpinnings of Scala Stack to its potential impact on the future of web development and beyond.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you. And hopefully, our listeners are now as excited about the potential of Scala Stack as we are.
I have a feeling they are.
Oh.
So, as we wrap things up, what's the one big takeaway you hope our listeners will walk away with?
If there's one thing I want to emphasize, it's this. The future of technology is not predetermined. It's not some fixed destination that we're passively moving towards. It's being shaped right now by people like you and me who are curious enough to explore new ideas, to experiment, and to challenge the status quo.
Beautifully said. Scala Stack is a perfect example of that pioneering spirit, of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be inspired to create the next groundbreaking technology that will redefine the digital landscape.
And when they do, we'll be here ready to dive deep into their creation and share it with the world.
That's right. So to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this exhilarating journey into the world of Scala Stack. Keep those creative sparks flying and never stop exploring the boundless possibilities of technology.
Until next time, stay curious.
From all of us here at The Deep Dive, thanks for tuning in.